Hi, everyone. We're back this week to talk about parent collaboration. I know it's the beginning of the school year, so you are really looking forward to creating those relationships with families that maybe you didn't do as much last year, or maybe you did and you just want to get yourself on the right foot as we start out the school year. So I have Andrea here with me, and I'm so excited because she's got experience in both sides of being a special education parent and a special education teacher and everything in between. So I'm going to have Andrea introduce herself. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your years of experience in the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a now 14-year-old son who has multiple disabilities. So 14 years ago, that was 2010. Fast forward to 2015, I started volunteering in his elementary classes. And one thing led to another. I was that parent volunteer that was always there, like, hey, do you want me to help cut out lamination, like Velcroing, all the things. Like I loved it from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then I talked to the principal and she's like, hey, we have an opening. You should totally apply. And so I applied and I became a one-on-one for a student that was having vision impairments. And then that child moved because it was military, so students were moving often. And so they wanted to keep me. So I ended up being a life skills para there for a few years. And then military life, of course, you move again. And then I was in South Carolina, part of the district behavior team. So we went and, as we said, put out fires. So
Yep.
for the district, I didn't work at like one specific school. It was kind of as needed basis. And then again, military life brought us to Maryland, and I became a Braille transcriber. I was part of the vision team, and so I transcribed materials into Braille for vision impaired students. And now I am a resource teacher. So one thing led to another, and now I'm teaching.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I love that to hear your journey of like you kind of like fell into it, but then like loved it and paraprofessional and then like oh my gosh, doing Braille for me, like it sounds so scary, but I'm sure that was quick for you to pick up on and kind of like get in there. It's a really cool experience to have. I might have to have you come back and talk more about that. Um, but
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
that you've kind of shared a little bit about your journey of becoming a special education teacher, how do you feel like that has impacted you being a special education parent in your daily practices of being a teacher?
Especially because of where we're at right now, like transitioning to high school, eighth grade to ninth grade, that big transition piece, um, like the larger scale of employability and employment,
Hmm.
and all those skills is really on our minds. And
Hmm.
so I'm picking up more now than I ever did before on how those elementary skills relate to such a bigger picture and why those skills are so vital and important. And we can't just be like, oh, it's okay. It's like, no, we need that skill. Like that's gonna really like help them later on in life when they go to find a job or we're in high school or anything like that. Just using a calculator, being able to count money, like just
Hmm.
even dollars, little things like that, reading a recipe. Can you
Yeah.
work in like a bakery? So all those little pieces, it's just part of a much bigger picture. And a lot of my coworkers don't see that or struggle to see that and make those connections. But because of the parent side of it, I see it. I'm dealing with it on the daily basis. And I realize how much of an impact it has on our students long term.
Yeah. So are you doing a lot more at home, life skills wise or independent living wise? Or do you feel like you're kind of pushing that on your son's IEP team to be like, hey, we need to do more of this independent living types curriculum?
I think it really takes both people. It needs to be the same across the board. Everybody needs to be working on the same skill. So like I know they do cooking in class. We do cooking at home. We're doing the same skills everywhere. So he's getting like a continual practice everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and that's another big piece when it comes to like the communication, and it's like making sure the parents know what you're working on so you can have that. Like if I didn't know that he was cooking or doing certain things in class, I wouldn't know to do those things at home,
Yeah.
or like questions to ask him to follow through with it at home.
For sure. I know that overlap is so important to make sure that families are on board with what the teacher or the school is doing. And then also, like, on the flip side of like, at home, we've been working on this. Can we bring that into our school somehow or part of his day? So, yeah, I feel like that is a huge piece of making sure that the whole team is on board, that everybody is moving forward. Like you said, it's such a crucial time right now in that transition age of preparing for high school and then being in high school to, have those employability skills and everything that goes beyond that for sure. What do you feel like are some key strategies that teachers should be using when collaborating with parents? Or things that maybe you've seen now that have changed the way that you communicate with families?
I think a really easy and simple one, you don't even have to do anything. Just send the work home. Like send the work that they did in class home, so the parents can be like, "Oh, did you do this?" Like, "Oh, look, you can tell what they learned in math because there's their worksheet." And it literally requires no work on your part. You're just sending the work home. Don't hold. I know we need like samples and everything for their
Yeah.
files, but send the good work home too. Like send some good work home, just so they can have that communication piece and like the conversation like daily, like, oh, this is what you did. They can sit down at dinner and talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest one, and it's so simple.
Yeah, seriously. The amount of times that I've seen like schools or teachers just like take the work and go, okay, in the garbage, nobody's gonna want this. I know over the years, even my family collected mine, and I had drawers of materials that eventually I went through, and it was kind of cool to look back and be like, oh, I drew this picture of our family, like when I was in second grade. But it's really cool to even in the moment or that week to have that conversation with the family and saying like, hey, we've been working on writing. Here's a writing sample that they've done. And then if they want to work on any writing at home or say what they did that night, like they can do that and send it back. And so they can kind of model and see what's been going on in school. And I love that. I think that's such a great strategy.
Yeah, and like you just said, like, they can see what they did. They can see the progress through the year too.
Yeah,
So they're seeing that.
for sure. Do you have any other tips or tricks that we can use when working with parents or just trying to create that parent and teacher collaboration?
I think another big piece is just don't feel like a robot. Don't feel like you have to be super formal. Like, show you're human. Say, like, reply and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so exciting!" Exclamation mark. Like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to always reply and be super formal. Show them
For
you're human and show them you truly care. I think that goes a really long ways too. Because then, like, there will be more of a communication. They're more comfortable, like, replying to you or reaching out to you if they have a question. Show that connection piece.
Yeah, for sure. I do. I love that when it's even just like a quick text message, like OMG, like
Yeah,
OMG. Like, no, you don't have to
yeah,
say, oh my gosh. Like, no, like, let's do the shorthand that we always do because we are human and we are people too.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you want to share with us about special education, being a teacher? And then, of course, share where people can find you if they want to connect with you too.
Um, I think we covered quite a bit. We can always chat again, of course. But
Yes.
my website is a whole lot of sped.com. And then it links to a bunch of resources and my TPD, things like that. So that's an
Awesome.
easy one place there.
Yeah, love that. Of course, if you have any questions about parent collaboration that we did not answer or specific questions just for Andrea, you're welcome to comment below to make sure that we get an answer for you. Whether it's for me or from Andrea, we'll make sure to get it to you. But yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.